with lesson 44 on measuring lengths with a ruler in the metric and US customary system. And this is probably going to be one of the longest lessons of the year because it is a little bit of a more difficult topic and it's really, really useful and important to learn how to do it. So let's get started. There are two sides to every ruler. One side is in inches, the other side, and that's the US customary system, and one side is in metric. So this is the metric system, and you can tell that because there's a little millimeters and centimeters right here, and you can tell also because the centimeter marks are smaller than the inches marks. So these numbers that are all labeled are centimeters, and in between each centimeter are 10 little lines which represent millimeters. All right, let's jump into some of those examples right here. So on the metric side of your ruler, 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So in an example that says how many millimeters is 2 centimeters, I'm just going to multiply by 10 and get 20 millimeters. If the question says how many centimeters is 70 millimeters, I'm going to divide by 10 and get 7 centimeters. Because there are 10 centimeters, there is 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. All right. Another example might show you a ruler and say, how long is the blue line? So here, my blue line goes to there, and I'm going to see that there's 2 centimeters plus 2 millimeters, and this would be like 20 millimeters, so 22. 22 millimeters, or I actually could also write 2.2 centimeters. For the red line goes to here, so it's right here, so it's going to be 1 centimeter and 5 millimeters, which I could write as 10 plus 5, so 15 millimeters, or if I wanted to keep it as centimeters, it would be 1.5, because I went 5 spaces after the 1. And those are all the types of questions that you'll see for the metric system. The next type of system is the US customary system. And on that side of your ruler, it is inches. And you're going to need to know that 12 inches is a foot, and 3 feet equals 1 yard, and 5,280 feet is a mile. You'll use those numbers for the rest of your life, so you might as well just memorize them now. Here I have some examples written for you for your notes, but what we're actually going to do right now is I'm going to show you a different video, somebody who explains this in great detail.
I'm going to ask Sparky to show you the kind of ruler that we're talking about. Remember, almost all rulers and measuring tapes have marks and numbers, so let's look closely at the one that we're going to use. On this measuring tape, the numbers are labeled inches. Let's take a closer look at a single inch. I'm going to zoom in to see it better. If you count the marks, you'll see that there are 16. You can do an easy check, count 8 marks, and see if you're at the half-inch mark. Some tapes have 32 marks on the first few inches or so. Just be sure that you check before you start. Now, you might be thinking, why 16 marks? A typical tape measure divides each inch in half, and then each half into quarters. Then the quarters are halved to make eighths. Our tape measure divides the eighths in half to make sixteenths. Now remember, some tapes may have 32 marks. We're only working with one that has sixteenths here. So to measure with the ruler or tape measure, you just need to know the fraction of an inch that the mark represents. Keep in mind that the fraction should always be in simplest form. Let's look at an example to see what I mean. Here you can see the mark at the halfway mark between 1/2 inch and 1 inch. This is the 3/4 of an inch. That means 3/4 of an inch. I'll erase the smaller marks so you can see the quarters easier. Now you can plainly see 3/4. What if I had just counted all of the 12 marks up to the line? Could I find the answer that way? Let's look at that. the fraction would be 12/16. Now, this is technically the right fraction, it just needs to be reduced. Now, this is not true of fractions in general, but reducing fractions to their simplest form on a tape measure or a ruler, like the ones that we're looking at, is easy. You can just keep dividing by 2. If the number on the top is even, your work is not done. Keep dividing by 2 until the top is odd, and then stop. Here, watch. You see, it's always this easy with a ruler or a tape measurer because the denominator, the number on the bottom, can only be 2, 4, 8, or 16. These all divide easily by 2. Now, let's try some practice problems. Pause the video when you see Sparky's pause. Then write your answer down before you hit play again. Take this example. The correct answer is 1/4. If you said 2/8 or 4/16, you were close. You just didn't reduce the fraction. Here's one that's a little harder. Pause the video and figure this one out. Did you say 5/8? Great! See how the numerator is odd? Now if you said 10/16, you need to rewind the video a little and see about reducing. Here's one that's about as hard as they come. See if you can figure this one out. The answer is 13/16. If you see it's on the smallest mark, you know it's 16ths. You can just count the marks, starting at the halfway point with 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then you can count up to 16 to make sure that you've got it right. 14, 15, 16. Since 13 is odd, we don't have to reduce. We'll do one more. This one is past the 1-inch mark, but I'll bet you know what to do with it. The measurement is 1 3/8. You see, you tack your fraction onto the number of whole inches in the measurement. Okay, if you got those 3 right, you understand what's going on. Keep it.
Okay, so now what I want you to do is get some practice. So you're going to go back to Schoology and you're going to click on the ruler game. And then you'll click up here on the heading. And it's going to bring up this page. Let me make it smaller so you can see it. All right, and what I want you to do is come down here and on the preferences, turn off the timer, and then you can choose to either do 16ths or 8ths. 8ths is all that you have to know up to this lesson. 16ths is a little bit more challenging. The video we just did went to 16ths, but if you want to just go to 8ths, you can click that, and then you're going to click Start New Game. And up here, it'll have a number right here, and this reads 2 3/4. So I would come to 2, and then I would find 2 3/4. So this would be 2 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and I'm going to click it. And if nothing happens, then I see that I got a point up here, and it went, so now it gives me a new one, 2 7/8, 3/4, 1 3/8. And if I were to get it wrong, then it's going to have a little red line show up to tell you where it was, and there's an X that shows up on your screen too. And you can keep going, and if you get 3 wrong, then it'll show up like that, and you'll have 3 X's. After you do the first 10 problems and you get to 100, your level will change, and you'll start to get points faster. So the goal is going to be to try and get 1,000 points. If you are able to get 1,000 points and you push the screenshot button, or you take a picture of it, or you get a parent to look at your screen and send in a note saying that you got to 1,000, then you will be able to skip guided practice altogether tomorrow in school. You'll get to go right to independent practice, so you'll get done with math a lot faster. After you've done this one, I also want you to try the metric ruler game, which is the exact same thing. Turn the timer off so you don't feel pressure. And it's going to, once you hit start new game, it's going to give you something. So 77 millimeters. This would be 7 centimeters, which is 70 millimeters. So I'm going to count this as 75, 76, 77, 39. So 3, and then I'm going to go to the 9. And I've already got 20 points. And it goes up really, really fast once you start to get a bunch in a row. You'll get your score up faster. So if you're able to do that, if you get 1,000 points in both of them, then no guided practice for you. And I'll also give you a little bit of extra credit towards math for doing it. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. And I'd like you, no matter what, to try a few of these so that way you're ready for practice tomorrow. All right, guys, go ahead and get to work.